All right, everyone, this is where it gets interesting. In the middle of November, Argentina has the last round of its election. They've had a couple of rounds already. In the first round, Javier Milei came in first place. He swept up a significant number of votes. There was one weird article that I can't vouch for being from a solid source that was talking about sex workers mining the polls. We'll probably meander briefly into that subject in a moment. Second round comes along. It's more limited, of course. The number of people is parsed down from very many to very few. Milei came in second in the second round of voting, actually to a man named Massa, which is a funny reference if you're from the United States and understand the usage of that term in the 1800s. Anyway, and then the third place candidate was Patricia Bullrich. And originally it wasn't quite clear whether she would endorse somebody and who she would endorse. The problem is that ideologically she's closer to Milei. She's more on that populistic side. So naturally you'd think, okay, she's going to endorse Milei. But they literally hate each other. And so you could have seen a situation in which the alternative happened, which would, by the way, have stopped Milei from possibly winning. She decided to endorse Milei in the end, despite the fact that I think she literally sued him at one point. She got about 23% of the vote. A little bit, closer to 24. Milei got about 30% of the vote. If you do combine those totals, Javier Milei should win the leadership of Argentina. If I were an Argentinian, I would be voting for him. He stands for a slightly populistic reformist movement that effectively wants to rip the bandage off of the old socialism of Argentina and say, look, things are going to be really bad for a short while, but if we don't do it now, it gets worse progressively over time. We have no choice. We must reform the economy. It's the economy, stupid, is really the name of the game with regards to Milei. And he's also very frank. He's explicitly anti-woke. He's a little bit like an Argentinian Donald Trump. He also sort of looks the part, too. He's got a very penetrating gaze. He looks like he could play maybe the slightly evil version of Doctor Who, actually, which I find funny considering the whole Falklands thing. Las Malvinas. Argentina is white. Anyway, we won't wander into more memes. Bullrich has endorsed Milei. In theory, that should put him over 50%. Here's the problem. The first problem is the establishment is terrified of Milei. That's number one. So ballot printers go burr. If you're in Argentina, I would vote for Milei. Pour out in record numbers, get out the vote, all of that other sloganeering nonsense. Just do it because you're not probably going to have another chance at this. If the establishment gets scared and you fail, the establishment locks everything down and makes sure you can't succeed in the future out of its fear. Now, they act in desperation. You saw that before this round of the last round of voting, Milei getting potentially charged actually for devaluing the peso. He attacked the economy. Yeah, they're actually thinking about charging him with a crime for considering the possibility of pegging of using the U.S. dollar instead of continuing to use the Argentinian currency because it's so massively inflated. Well, the U.S. dollar is definitely inflated. The inflation rate is not over 100%, so we do have something to show for it. When you have a diversified economy, it helps. This would be a good thing for many people in Argentina, although there are exceptions. We can have an economic debate over the problems of switching to a different currency at some other point in time. The other problem beyond the ballot printer go burr thing is that not everyone who likes Bullrich is actually going to listen to the endorsement. If in the end, therefore, Milei loses. And my hope is that he wins, and he's got a good chance of it. Again, he wouldn't win without the endorsement. If she had refused to endorse or had endorsed his opponent, it'd be all over. You wouldn't even need the election to determine what the outcome would be. This makes it very close, but because it's close, because the establishment candidate did come in first place in that round of voting, narrowly, but he came in first place, and because you have apparently an organized leftoid movement to monitor the polls using prostitutes, among other things, and they openly bragged about it. Again, the source that I saw that I can't vouch for being real news, so don't fault me if this is actually a non-factual story. The source I saw was that basically at all the polling places where they had women that were effectively undressed, that Massa won all of those. That's slightly telling. but again, it tells a story that may be contravention to the truth. The official story is, okay, I guess they got the lewd women in there with their, underwear on, and they were endorsing quite clearly the establishment candidate, which is funny as hell. And so, people, the dudes got, turned on when they went to the polls, and that's why they voted that way. That could just be a foil for ballot printers going burr, though. Now you've got the final round of voting in a couple of weeks. Again, the hope is Milei wins. He has an advantage. He still, I think, has the tailwind. He got the endorsement of the only other major person that was in that round of voting, and in theory should get over 50%. Again, the problem is that relies upon the vast majority of people who were bullish for Bullrich deciding to press the lever for Javier Milei. Not all of them will. So most of them, I think, will. They'll listen to the endorsement, or they'll say, ideologically speaking, the candidate that I did support that now has dropped out is more similar to him than to the socialistic establishment norm within Argentina. That's definitely the case. But it has to be a significant majority. It has to be like, you can lose, out of that 24 points that she got, you can lose a point, or maybe 2, and then you're really cutting it close, and that's about all you can lose. Basically, it's going to come down to enthusiasm, because of course the establishment candidate should be stuck in a rut at the same level that he was in the prior cycle, in the prior voting that happened days ago. That will probably not happen, though. In the end, you can expect a squeaker, almost certainly, in which Milei has an advantage, but the ballot printers may go burr, like you saw in the election in the United States, or like you saw in Brazil, right next to Argentina, or like you've seen in multiple other countries in the last couple of years. The establishment is right now trying to claw back power. Milei is not perfect. He said some very, very off-color things. But if you're anti-woke, you're in favor of effectively a quasi-free market economy, and you're less averse to the concept of individual rights, you are clearly superior to what's being offered by the establishment in Argentina. Now we sit back and wait, because those of us who are Argentinian, of course, we can't vote. I'm not going to fly to Argentina, to Buenos Aires, in order to go campaign for Javier Milei. That would be probably a little bit fruitless of an endeavor, because I don't speak Spanish anyway. I would vote for him. He looks the part. His tirades against wokeness and against leftoidism in general, basically he could be a good commentator. He should probably start a podcast if he loses. I think that he would have millions of viewers very quickly. Quite rhetorically talented, actually. So my analysis is the endorsement, number one, matters, because the alternative is, again, he would lose in a landslide. Matters. But we have to wait and see how much it matters. Again, the problem is that if the ballot printers go burr, they can just say, oh, well, not all of Patricia Bullrich's voters decided to back Milei. At the end, a lot of them hated him for misogyny or something because she's female or something like that. Full-throated endorsement, though, aside, you could end up with a situation where the ballot printers don't need to go burr in order for him to lose in a squeaker. Again, a reason why I would encourage everyone in Argentina, just rip the bandage off. Let the wound heal. It will be painful and it'll take time, but you really need to air it out because it's starting to smell really bad with all the socialism and inflation down there. You're nuts if you re-elect the establishment at this point. That's about all. Peace out.